And the red light is flashing. That means we are back again with our latest Community Spotlight series here on Zoom. I am delighted to welcome two co-founders and directors of the Laredo Film Society. We have Karen Gaitan. Karen, hi.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Steve.
Pleasure to meet you for the first time virtually. And Gabriella Trevino. Hi, Gabby.
Hi.
And I think it's okay for me to call you Gabby.
Yes, that's fine.
Fantastic. So the conversation today is going to be about the Laredo Film Society. Gabriella and Karen are going to tell us all about this society and why our readership, both here in the Rio Grande Valley and Laredo and across the up and down the border region, should be interested in this. Going to be fascinated to learn more about this. And I will tell the viewers how this came about. We have a mutual friend in Blas Castañeda from Laredo, and he has been pressing me to do this interview. And when Blas says, this is someone, or these are two people you need to connect with, Steve, and interview, I am going to listen to Blas. He is a fantastic legend on the border. So I'm going to kick it off. Either of you can go first. First of all, Karen and Gabriella, tell us a little bit about yourselves right before we get into what the Laredo Film Society is all about. Who's going first?
Yes, I mean, I love to tell the story of how Gabby and I met, along with our other colleague, Lisette, who's also one of the founding members of the society. We are natives from the border and from both sides. And in 2015, when an independent production from Houston came to film in the border, we met a lot of like-minded people that were invested in the arts, that had career interest in the film industry and had all these stories to tell about the border. And from forming a close working relationship then and a friendship years later, the Laredo Film Society came to be in 2018. Our interest really was to find a community of cinema lovers at first. And through our conversations, we learned that there's really so much value in investing in some sort of infrastructure that supports creatives to make films, write films, make stories, learn about photography. And there's really this untapped industry that we can help develop through a lot of community support. So it all started by just a couple of girls on a film set.
That is fantastic. And Gabriella, a little bit about yourself, if you will.
My name is Gabby. When I met Garen, I was working on the film set, but I had a day job working as a reporter for Laredo Morning Times. And I had always wanted to be a reporter. You know, storytelling is my passion in life. However, film is also one of my really big passions, and filmmaking and journalism kind of go hand in hand a little bit, in that it's artful way of storytelling. And meeting Karen and Lisette, we kind of wanted to fill a gap that we saw in Laredo. And, you know, there's a lot of, like, you think of Laredo and you don't immediately think like arts and culture or film, or, you know, I'm not really sure what comes to mind when people think Laredo, but I can tell you, I can almost guarantee it's not that. And we kind of want to change that. You know, we all grew up here. I'm born and raised in Laredo. And, you know, I grew up wanting to experience certain things, but not having those experiences immediately accessible to me. When I was 16 years old, I Googled film camps and I found one in Austin. So I went one in Austin. It was truly life-changing. And I was like, why doesn't my town have something like that? So I think when we all got together, that's kind of a mission that we wanted to fulfill. We wanted to provide kids opportunities that we didn't have when we were growing up. Opportunities just to, you know, mingle, relax, not even to become like Oscar-winning filmmakers, but just like, you know, have somewhere to hang out and watch movies, have somewhere to hang out and talk about art, or put up their photography, or talk about an idea for a short film. So just building more of a collaborative community in town is kind of what we're all about. We use movies as the vehicle to navigate towards that.
Thank you for that. So you're both co-founders of the Laredo Film Society. Tell us a little bit more about the society. When did it form? I imagine it's a non-profit. Tell us when it formed and what its mission statement is.
Certainly. So in 2018, after being avid moviegoers and seeing that a lot of independent films weren't really reaching our market, we decided to make a Facebook group. And we learned that because of the way markets work in the film industry is they only cater, they all operate by ticket sales. And if they don't see a market as a profitable option, they won't bring their films here. So when we were trying to be like, oh, there's all these great content coming out, but it's not coming to our theaters, how can we change that? How can we reach out to distributors to be like, hello, we're here? We learned that, hey, if you put together a group of a film club and you show that there's a consistent interest, exactly, we might be able to do something. So that's really how it started. And after, using the power of social media and, getting likes and comments, Gabby and I started talking, and we looked, it's really been a community-driven effort every step of the way. The other day, we saw how the Facebook memories pop up, and the comments said, hey, we're looking for any lawyers that might want to help us, because we had no idea, how do you even start a nonprofit? Like, we were just Googling how to start a nonprofit, just like really, really 101,
Well, it worked. It worked. It was a good approach to take. Yeah. When I guess you didn't know any different. You weren't experts in that field, and so you just got to go and ask. And you got some good advice by the sounds of it. Absolutely.
So a big shout out to our good friend, colleague, supporter, Carlos Flores, who's a lawyer and also an artist himself. And he's like, I'll help you out. So he connected us with his partner, Keith Franklin, who to this day is our legal representation. And that's where it started. It's like, okay, we just have to file some paperwork, and then that's the legal aspect, and then the fun begins. We started with an Oscars party. We launched in February 21st of 2018. And I believe that year, like a week later, were the Oscars that year. So we had a screening, a lot of people dressed up. There was a red carpet, the backdrop. People were just having fun, which was really the coolest part, to see that, hey, this event that didn't require a lot of science behind it was able to bring this much joy. So that was really heartwarming and encouraging for us to keep going.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel that Laredo or the border region generally has any unique characteristics that would make it a good place for, a small independent film industry to thrive, to start up and thrive? What's special about our region? And I include the Rio Grande Valley in that, Laredo and the Valley. What makes it special for filmmakers, do you feel?
I think it's special because First of all, geographically, the location is beautiful. You know, golden hour, as they call it in film, is, you know, so magical when the sun is setting. That's aesthetically, and then more kind of logistically, you know, especially the valley, you know, you could be in one town and then drive a little bit and you're in another town, and I think that would appeal to a production, because you want to get those different kinds of locations with different feels and vibes. You know, I know Austin is a city that has had a lot of success, kind of building an industry outside of Hollywood, but it's getting saturated. So bringing it down here, you know, could really help out our economies and giving people, you know, much needed jobs working on sets, or provide a learning opportunity for you know, college age kids to learn more about what it takes to make a movie. Hopefully also providing opportunities for, you know, local mom and pop shops to provide their services or products to these large budget or medium or small size budget small budget productions. And when the production that Karen spoke about came down to Laredo, they were just really surprised with how hospitable Laredoans were. You know, they got the royal treatment. It's like, wow, nobody's ever come here, so we're going to, you know, try and make a good impression. And I think anybody that comes to Laredo or South Texas kind of goes away with that. It's like you never really think to go to South Texas, and when you do, you're glad you did, because, you know, it's surprising. It surprises you in a good way. You don't expect much, but then you leave kind of feeling glad that you went. So yeah.
Yeah, and just to add to Gabby's point, I think a lot of the comments that we heard from that film, and we would love to give them a shout out. There continue to be friends and collaborators to this day. The production was called Journey Beyond Borders, directed by Christopher Rodriguez and produced by the Briones brothers, Orlando and Christian. So what we heard in our conversations with them was that really the magic of this part of the state and the country is that you feel like you're in Mexico. You look through the buildings, particularly downtown Laredo, the tightness, the facades, a lot of even like the extras of people that are just commuting and
roaming around.
Exactly. It's a part of Mexico in the United States. And I think that's one of the strengths that not only South Texas border, but the border has. And in this bicultural, this binational culture that is fostered here can really thrive through this, as cliche as it sounds, or as repeated as it is, the best of both worlds and the worst of both worlds as well. But yeah.
And I should point out for the film buffs of a certain generation, people down here would know that the film Viva Zapata was filmed in Rio Grande City. No, in Roma, not Rio Grande City, in Roma. You would know that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and San Ignacio as well, right down the Highway 83.
Good enough for Marlon Brando, it should be.
Well said. Well said, Gabby. Okay, I've got my questions here. The next one, what does the current programming look like at the Laredo Film Society?
Oh, that's a loaded question. We have so much going on.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a positive problem. But as you can see, we're in our office space today. This is Laredo Film Society HQ. We acquired the space through an incentive program through the city of Laredo. we were granted a 3-year lease with rent for $1 per year. And it's in the heart of downtown, which is, the city's really been trying to revitalize the area. It has a lot of old buildings. We're right across the street from one of the oldest movie houses in Texas. I think it's called the Plaza Theater. It's kind of like McAllen's Cine Rey. And they're in the works of renovating it. It should be ready in a year and a half. And so we are trying to furnish and outfit it so that it works as multi-purpose. So we have the screening room in back of us, and then in front of us, we'll have a kind of co-working reception area where people can come and, if they have a meeting, a creative meeting, or want to work on their computer, they can do that. We have another room where we want to dedicate to podcasting and anything having to do with audio, or people can use it as a meeting spot as well. We have film club Fridays, and that's every first Friday of the month. We also try to support our local movie houses, because right now movie theaters are kind of suffering. Not kind of, they definitely are suffering. So we want to make sure that we support them. So every third Friday, we kind of get a group of people together and say like, hey, let's go watch this one movie at this time, and it's a good time. And then last summer we started having summer workshops, and they were really well attended. So we want to replicate that for this year and expand that programming. Last year we had screenwriting, analog photography, cartooning, and digital photography, and also
the video
art,
junkie?
VJing, they call it, which is kind of new practice now, and we kind of want to keep up with the times, of course. So hopefully we'll be able to provide a different set of workshop options for people to take part in this summer.
I don't think from all those things you're telling me that you're doing, I just can't think there's enough hours in the day for you to have so many good projects.
That's just the tip of what's on top of my head.
That's fantastic. Okay, next question. You've sort of answered this one in a roundabout way, but what do you hope to accomplish with this project?
I think it's a twofold outcome. I absolutely about the goal isn't the Oscar or the award, but creating a community, a space where people truly feel like they can foster community. I personally learned so much and just got so much context of the world by watching movies, and in such a place that can often be described as isolated or nothing ever happens here, you can learn about everything happening in the rest of the world through a film. So really providing that and making film accessible to people from all walks of life, who speak multiple languages, who speak only one language, who have a very uniform experience, and expose them to that. I think that's one of the things we're really committed to. And then another aspect that I hope we can further develop, we're making plans to develop this year, is to create local content and really understand what the power of narrative is. I think our communities have suffered from
exploiting our narrative.
Yeah.
We get people from outside of the area, and they come and kind of put a lens on us and say like, oh, this is what it's like, you know, there's a crisis at the border, you know, just like whatever they want to say, and they're able to say it because they have a camera with them. That's their weapon. So we want to stop that, or we want to prevent that, or these narratives can coexist, and maybe just put a counter narrative, so that people know what it's like from our perspective, how we see our area, our people, our town, our culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Laredo, both Karen and I left Laredo to go to college, and it's a trend that I've seen with all my friends. I'm sure you've seen it as well with your friends. A lot of people leave Laredo. Like it's kind of like you grow up here and it's like, okay, bye. A lot of brain drain happens here, or they'll graduate from the local university and they'll leave. So what I really want to accomplish is keeping people here, keeping the community kind of tight, and making it like just building up that hometown pride, as corny and cliche as that might sound, but I feel like Laredo really, really lacks that. And hopefully we can play a small part in getting that culture going.
Those were some great points there, Gabby, and that sort of, you answered in some ways. It leads into the next question I had, which was to ask, what do you consider, how important do you consider the power of narrative in a community? And you're talking about how that's exactly what you want to address.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen positive examples of the power of narrative, and we've seen negative examples of the power of narrative. So I studied a documentary film, and what I've also learned is that the healing that happens after somebody shares their story is tremendous. Just the simple, I'm sure you've seen it as in news. You ask somebody their story, and they've changed a little bit after they've shared it. And I think that a town, a community that's long been overlooked, where nobody has asked us, hey, what's your story, for somebody to actually share it at, that could be transformative. I was gonna say like healing our past traumas, but that's a little much.
Well, again, I agree. I think that's a cultural issue. Did you know that from Laredo to Brownsville, it's the region most impacted by Alzheimer's in the country for Hispanics?
Yeah.
There's a lot of forgotten stories there, a lot of forgotten memory, and being able to take some agency in that is something we hope to at least help.
Yeah, what does that say about us? That, like, I mean, yeah. I can't say from a biological perspective, but like, what does it say about us that our memories become erased at some point, for a large part of the population? So it's important to archive those and keep those alive somehow.
And yeah, I'd agree with Karen. I don't think many people realize that we are like the number one area for Alzheimer's in the Hispanic population. There's a brand new clinic started in Rio Grande City to address that. You've probably heard of that. So you're making tremendous points here that I'm pleased to capture in this video interview. This is the last question I have, but I'm going to afterwards, you feel free if there's anything else you feel I've missed, you want to make some other points. But my last question was going to be, how are you working with the creative community to build a positive vision for South Texas? And again, you've sort of answered that to some extent, that the stereotypical view of these people that come down to the valley and come down to Laredo with a camera and go back with the story they set out to get. You hardly ever see any interviews with locals on those newscasts or on those stories that appear in Facebook, there's very little interaction with local people. But how would you like to answer that? How will you be working with the creative community to build a positive vision for South Texas?
I think I'm happy to share some specific examples. Part of our continuing mission is creating this community film school where we really develop the infrastructure for the points we touched on earlier. And through a lot of people, it's been my experience, are very, and understandably so, are naturally drawn to like the negatives as well, that it's very easy to overlook the assets of a place. So the resources that actually do exist. So our creative community is one such asset. So for example, one of our longtime supporters, Jose Esquivel, has a day job like many of us, but his true talent is in his words. He's an excellent writer, crafts of poems. Like just today I was drinking my coffee and I came up with this really inspiring verse. So he shares those with us, and we started giving him a space here at the society, at our office HQ. And he started writing and developing his ideas for this border noir. He was able to, through developing that work, he was able to connect to a writers group in Vegas, and was able to connect to like the rest of the country with through this creative work. So we are so excited for his future, to see how we can support, help his vision come to life. Other creatives who come here rent out the space to, a lot of first-time photographers who don't want to start out but don't have yet the budget or the clientele to have their own studio, can come rent out the HQ during the week and use the backdrop, use these tools to continue developing their craft. And also students, through the workshops and through a lot of times, I think, as Gabby mentioned, I learned, like when I left to these perhaps bigger cities, there really wasn't anything that they had to offer, like anything special they had to offer other than resources. So it's like, well, if those are people in Austin, New York, Los Angeles are just people who come together, we can just do that here. Just have the people come together and the magic will happen naturally. And that's really what we've learned.
Wow, that is a great story, Karen. That's really tremendous to hear that. Those are all the questions I had. So I want just to open it up to you both now. Are there any important points that we haven't had a chance to address in the questions I've set for you? Any good points you want to get across?
Come visit us. No, I don't know.
If not, no problem. We can close it here, and obviously please stay in touch. We would love to hear about the progress you make, and keep us in the loop. Send us your any press releases, or share the projects you're doing, the activities you're doing. Just keep us posted. Now, perhaps you can tell us all tell the list of the viewers here where they can reach you. Where are you on social media and websites and phone numbers, etc.
Yeah, so we're on Facebook, Laredo Film Society, Instagram at Laredo Film, Twitter at Laredo Film. TikTok is coming. And if anybody has any general inquiries, they can email us at hello@laredofilm.org.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. I hope the viewers have enjoyed this as much as I have. We've been chatting with Karen Gaitan and Gabriela Trevino. They're on the board of directors of the Laredo Film Society. I'm so pleased to learn about this group. I'm going to pay really close attention. Again, I thank Blas for connecting us together. Please keep in touch, and we will spread the word through the Rio Grande Guardian.
Thank you. And likewise, if you guys ever find yourself here, you have a space to work out of. So.
Absolutely. We will take you up on that. Gabby.
All right.
Okay, well, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.